I'm going to use the February 2026 sheet load of cards and a couple sheets of 12 by 12 paper and turn them into some Shabby Chic thank yous. Hey, it's Beth. Welcome. Today I am working on the February 2026 sheet load of cards. This is part of the collaboration team for the sheet load. There's a playlist linked in the description box below where you can watch all of the collab team members and how they are using the new sheet load. And the sheet load is from Call Me Crafty Owl. It's something she puts out every month. It's a sketch, supply list, cut list, everything you need to help you make a set number of cards. This month the sheet load sketch uses 12 by 12 papers and it makes 6 cards. I am still working on this love story collection from Echo Park. So I have a sheet from that collection, and then I'm also going to be incorporating this pink polka dot from the Dots and Stripes Valentine's collection kit from Echo Park as well. And then the sketch also calls for some vellum, so I have that. So these are the papers I'm going to be working with. So let's get our cards created. Before I forget, if you would like to get the February 2026 sheetload of cards PDF, there will be a link in the description box below from Alicia where she tells you how you can download this month's free PDF. It is free as long as you are a subscriber to her channel. And if you would like to support her efforts for creating these free sketches every month, she does have some paid membership levels as well, and you do get some awesome benefits from that. But the link on how you can find it will be in the description box below along with the playlist link. So for that first sheet of pattern paper, I just cut it down exactly as the cutting guide showed since it was 12 by 12. For this sheet, since the cutting guide shows an 8.5 by 11 piece, I was able to just take a 12 by 4 1/4 strip and cut the 6 pieces I needed out of that, and then we'll do some tearing on those later. And then next comes the vellum, which also in the cutting guide it shows an 8.5 by 11. I used a 12 by 12 because that's what I had, and so I cut 2 4 1/4 inch strips, and then just cut was able to get 3 pieces from each of those strips, and then had some vellum left over. So I cut everything to the exact sizes that the cutting guide shows. I just had some different amounts of paper left since I used 12 by 12 instead of 8.5 by 11. If you don't have vellum, you could always use just some other pattern paper, or I know she suggests like some mulberry paper and maybe some handmade paper, some textured paper, anything that would just, if you wanted to add a little bit a different texture, to the card. So instead of freehand tearing, I am using a metal ruler and I'm kind of holding it down and creating a border here, and then I'm tearing along the ruler. And that's just because I wanted the torn look, but I wanted it to be not kind of all over the place that I sometimes get when I'm doing freehand. You get a bunch of like mountains and big mountains and valleys. So it's a little bit of a neater torn look if that's possible. I just kind of used my grid mat to get about a 1/4 of an inch to the right of my 1/4 of an inch of paper to the right of my ruler, and then just tore along that edge on all of the pieces. If you don't like tearing, you can always use decorative scissors or border punches or dies, or if you have like a decal ruler or something like that, there's different ways that you can get a detailed edge. So if not tearing isn't everybody's thing, so there are alternative ways, or you could just leave it plain. Maybe ink the edges instead. Now that I have all of my pieces cut and torn, I am going to layer the polka dot piece onto the vellum. And then instead of the thread that she shows on the sketch, I don't have any good thread, and so I don't fully show it here. First, I didn't realize that, but this is a sheet of white peel-off strips from Love from Lizzie, and I am just using the thinnest size, and I'm putting one kind of in the middle, and then I'm going to use some scrap pieces and add one strip on either side of that piece that I have in the middle. So the sketch called for like 3 pieces or 3 strands of thread or twine going across the front of the card, and I'm just going to have 3 straight peel-off strips instead. But they're the thinnest kind, which this is kind of good because I tend not to use the thin ones, like the thinnest size, very much, so this is kind of a good way to help me use some of those up. So I'm just going to fold the edges over on the back. I'm going to go ahead and put my card mat down on my card base, and these are all A2 cards. That's what the SheetLoad sketch makes, and A2 is my favorite size. That is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So once that's down, I'm going to put adhesive on the back of my vellum, but only where that polka dot pattern paper is. And that's just so no adhesive will show through the vellum. And then I have a thank you sentiment that I stamped. It's from the Echo Park Mini Thanks stamp set, I think. It's an older stamp set. So I just stamped that and punched that with a 2-inch circle punch, and then I have about a 2.5-inch scallop circle on that red cardstock that I added as a matting layer. And we'll lay that down. And then because I'm trying to use up this collection, there were some tiny hearts and flowers on the sticker sheet that I decided to use up. I put one on kind of the bottom left and top right corner. There was this strip that I had left over from that initial 12 by 12 pattern piece. I believe it was about 1.5 inches wide. And so I, again, apologize, I'm kind of off to the left over here. But I trimmed off that branding strip at the bottom and then cut it down to 3/4 inch. So I will have 2 3/4 inch strips that I'm then going to cut down to 4 inches long. And I will add these to the insides of all my cards, and then that will make this it's not a no scrap sketch, but this sheet, there will be no scraps left over from this sheet from my Love Story collection. So that's nice. I always like a no scraps type sketch. Anytime I can use up an entire sheet of paper is awesome. Here are my 6 finished cards. Again, please be sure to check out the playlist linked in the description box below for all of the creative team members and the cards they made, and the link for Alicia's video telling you how to get the SheetLoad if you don't already have it. I don't know if any of the products I used are available anymore, but if so, I will try and list them. But as always, I thank you all so very much for your time and hope you all have a very crafty day.